Hello, hello. Welcome back to A Day in the Life. This is Miriam Raquel Sands. If you're new to this behind the scenes series, it is a vulnerable peek behind the, curtain, behind the door of my life in building a business with an but saturated online market space, late stage capitalist state, in the global north, in the United States, in North America, on the East Coast, like all of these layers of building, aiming towards income sovereignty and sustainability as a woman of color, as someone who's navigated the corporate system for decades, and creating my own path, creating my own way out. So welcome. I usually do this series, I try to do it twice a month, but this month, March in 2026, has had different curveballs, to say the least. I know that there has been a lot happening, and most likely will continue to happen in this world at a global scale, and we are all being affected from all angles, from all sides. Maybe not at the same time or in the same ways, but we really all are being affected deeply. And perhaps we don't even realize how deep. All the political, economical, cultural, all the systemic, just all the things happening. And to say it's hard is an understatement. And to say that there is a path potentially is also an understatement, because I think that what I've been reflecting on and what has been making me rethink and reframe things, which is why I think I didn't do this series twice this month as I normally do, is because I've been sitting with this idea or the truth, which is cycles. Everything goes in cycles. Everything is iterative of itself, and history repeats itself. Women, we go through our menstrual cycle, and it looks differently each month, every week, in each month. Like, there's so many different ways to start to look and think about cycles. But ultimately, the truth is that we are walking, like this notion of a path is a cyclical one. So we think that there's this newness, or that we are in a whole new book or in a whole new genre, a new chapter. There's this, I think, false impression, this delusion made on us, given to us by society, that we will somehow get out of whatever it is. We're trying to get out of a job, get out of survival. And I think that denies a fundamental truth, which is life isn't trying to get out of anything. Life is just life, just trying to live. And I don't say that to flatten or to minimize what we're going through. I just say that to say that, for me, speaking as one person living her experience that has many different cultural and religious and societal levels. We don't live in bubbles. We live in multi-layers, multiple bubbles. I've really been reckoning with this work that I do about helping people, in particular spiritual individuals, environmental, eco-minded individuals, people who are mission-driven, purpose-driven. So that in all of that, the people that I most serve, including myself, trying to lead by example and show what has helped me, how I have done it or am doing it. I've had conversations with people, and there is a deep need for safety and security. And it comes out as money. I need money. And so a lot of people, friends, family, potential clients I've spoken with, all come to me with this desperation, this treading a lot of water, and a lot of fear to fill the hole, to fill this gap of, how am I going to sustain myself when AI is taking jobs, when robots are taking jobs, when I have a house to pay, when I have this. And I'm not negating any of that. I also have bills to pay. I also wrestle with the same questions. But what I've been thinking with all of that, what I've been sitting with and sifting and filtering and just reconciling is the question is not on us. The question isn't the problem. We're not really trying to solve for money. It's that expression of more money, more problems. Like, if we all had what we thought we needed, if we had all the retirement amount that we ever needed to be able to sit on, and so we hoarded all this supposed value currency and we just sat on it, and we could, use that to pay for our food, pay for utilities. If we had a house paid off, we never had to work again, would the problem go away? The problem of money or the problem of safety, security? And the answer is no, because ultimately, money is a societal construct. Money is what's been given power. We could, in theory, but in reality, all we need, going back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs and kind of get into psychology, sociology, those type of things for a little bit. What we need is shelter. We need fire. We need food, sustenance, community. We're social animals. We need water, air, clothes. Potentially, we need to cover ourselves from the elements, from the weather, rain, snow. And that's really it. But because society, meaning rich people wanting to hoard wealth, and in doing so, creating different political constructs and different literal constructs. Not constructs. Literal. I don't know what a word to call it, but like colonization. Real. Chaos and calamity. I'm not trying to be alliterative and use words that start with C, but it's just, it just happens to be that case. And, the people who have been in power, who created, designed, like I remember seeing in some exhibit when I went to London last year, and I saw in the British Museum, they had an exhibit about money and kind of tracing the roots. And I remember this gallery having coins, old coins from Caesar's past, from, I don't remember before Caesar, but on the coin, they would have the face of Caesar, of whichever Caesar was ruling at the time. And we still have that. I mean, here in the United States, on the quarter, I don't remember because people don't use physical coin in that way anymore. Everything is digital and virtual and invisible. But, we have faces of founding individuals on coins. And that's a political move. It's a cultural move. It's an economical. It means something to those individuals, to the people who are founding something, who are creating and creating leverage for themselves and their family, to be able to say, my face is on this thing. Not only will I never be forgotten, but my family will potentially always reap the benefits, and they will never have to potentially suffer economically. But it's because they're creating, I don't know how else to say this, like the answer is in the problem. Those, like, rich people are the only ones who, and rich meaning millionaires, billionaires, people who hoard wealth, maybe say it in that way, are the ones who really benefit from everyone working and getting into debt and continuing to work in order to pay off debt and continuing to consume different brands and people feeling this need to hoard, to consume, to have the next thing, to have the next iPhone or whatever it is. Because it serves those who hoard wealth so that they can continue to be safe and secure in money, in wealth, while the rest of us are struggling and trying to also secure that same wealth, but not really having the land, the real estate, literal and figurative and cultural real estate to lean on. So all of that is to say that in trying to solve for money, I just need to get more money, or I just need this in order to pay off the house. Like, that's a conversation I had with a potential client. She came to me wanting to know about my story and how I was a job hopper and how I was able to pivot and reposition myself within different industries, different roles, throughout my entire career. And that's how I paid off $100,000 of combined student debt and car debt in under 10 years after graduating with my bachelor's. And so I let her know my story. And after kind of assessing and just figuring out where she is and what her needs are and what's going on, at the end of it all, it became about the house, making sure that she was able to keep the house at any cost, literally, because she didn't want to feel like a failure. She didn't want to not succeed. And I kind of sat with all of that. Well, how are we failing? Us as individuals, as people, as the community. We're not failing because we not only bought into, but we are sustaining the economy and the systems, all of it, by voting, by not voting, by getting our taxes, all of our wealth, or, all of our salary and hourly wages being taxed, by our time being taken away in commutes or daycares and going back and forth and trying to figure out what to budget, what to restrict, what streaming service to switch from. And it's just, we are single-handedly, each and every one of us, each drop in the ocean is sustaining the ecosystem. And the rich people who own apartment complexes and who own conglomerates and monopolies and just these big mental, physical pieces of real estate can enjoy the benefits of it all. And we're getting to a point, I think, in society, or we've already been there, and now we're just seeing the after effects or the whiplash of the dismantling, the death of capitalism, consumerism. And so we as individuals are being forced to reckon with, what is it that I'm really willing and able to decide for myself? What is it that I'm really willing and able to do? Because if we're constantly solving for money, I mean, that's always going to be the hamster wheel that we get on and that we die on. If we choose that thought, if we choose that lifestyle, not to say that it is a choice because it's just thrust upon us, but the other choice, if we choose to see it as a choice, is minimizing our footprint in the system. So detaching ourselves as much as we can so that we don't have debt, so that we're not engaged with the system that actively and subconsciously, even in our sleep, takes from us. So I've been reckoning and rethinking my business because I've not been, I don't think I've ever been, or I hope I haven't sent out that message, which is why I say I don't think, but I've never been in the business of forcing people to get out of the system, the corporate system. I've always tried to aim my efforts at those of us who already see the corporate structure for what it is and repurpose it for our needs and be able to exit as we see fit. Because unless we're going to go live off grid and live a homestead life, which, you know, we still, I've seen some creators on YouTube and other solopreneurs who live that life, but they still have to have some connection to the economy, because if they want to have a certain foods, have access to certain, you know, things, they still have to pay for things. I mean, money is still, the main currency of value, of worth, of production, of whatever it is. So, you know, the point isn't, we haven't gotten to the point where we can remove ourselves totally from the economy of money, but we can decrease our footprint and increase agency in ourselves and being able to pivot and repurpose and choose where we put value in things. So all of that, all of that is to say that I have been taking a step back, a big step back, with this work of repurposing the corporate ladder, and helping people start businesses or helping people start side gigs or whatever, because fundamentally, I've never believed in the corporate system as a way to freedom. I think that the ultimate freedom is devaluing money, deprioritizing money. But that's not something that I do or I could do by myself. It takes more than a village. Like, it takes the whole, takes all of us to stop engaging with the economy in that way. But to do that, we have to learn how to farm. We have to learn how to live according to nature, which, going back to cycles, it's like we're going back, potentially, if we call it back, to what humans are meant to do naturally, organically, intuitively. So I am still offering a service, a 90-minute session for those interested in getting clarity, getting strategy. If you would like design support, meaning it could be designing your resume, because we all still need to get paid, and you're looking to repurpose the corporate ladder, I'm happy to help, because I think it's hard, it's very challenging to think 3-5 steps ahead when, we don't even see the ground 3-5 steps ahead. I don't even know for myself what that looks like, and I'm currently in that of how am I creating my own ground? How am I creating my own sustainability that looks maybe completely different than what I've ever done? So I'm still in that exploration mode, but I've never felt comfortable telling people make a business or stick to this degree or stick to this path, because I've always been someone who believes in pivoting, in reiterating or reinventing. I'm always someone who likes to read the room and gets a sense of what's happening in the world, what's happening in my environment, and kind of starting to see, okay, what can I do? What would be economical? Meaning, if I don't have to spend a lot of money, but also I don't have to spend a lot of time, and I don't have to spend a lot of effort, energy, like all these things, I rotate, I start to think about in my mind, and in my body, feel it out in my body to see how my body reacts to certain things, so that I can make the most intentional and intuitive decision I can, understanding that I only have a certain amount of information at any given time, and nothing is up to me to control. All of this with AI, not only is it currently affecting entry-level workers and students who are going to college or are in high school, and so it's just this constant thinking of, what does the future hold? What is the future? Do we have a future? Quite scary to think about, very scary. And at the same time, we've never known what our future was or could have been. I know that when I was growing up, I didn't have nobody ever told me about college. I didn't grow up thinking I was going to go to college. And I just grew up seeing both of my parents working. Both of my mom and dad worked. There was a point where my dad held 2 jobs, and my dad had a business. And I got to just see what it was to survive. I also got to see someone who thrived, my dad figuring out his path and the ways in which he wanted to carve out his safety and security and stuff. But I never envisioned anything for myself. I think I was just fully present, trying to figure out the dynamics with my parents who fought a lot, and trying to understand the relationship to myself, with my body, with my mind, with my spirituality. That by the time I got into high school, that's when everything kind of caught up. And then it became a conversation about the future. What is the future? And did you know that you needed a degree in order to make money? Did you know that you needed money? I mean, I knew that I needed money, but did you know how much you need money? not just in quantity, but how much, like in your body, that you need money to survive. Did you know you needed this as much as you needed oxygen? And that hit me like a truck in high school. Because up until that point, there was so much I was navigating internally as a young woman. Again, around my body. The, what is it called? Dysmorphia? Just in kind of anguish feeling with my body. With my spirit, trying to figure out, okay, I'm not part of organized religion, but then what am I? And what am I doing? And who am I? And what does it mean to have purpose? And what does it mean to believe in something? And understanding my culture, being someone who is bilingual and being born in the United States, but my whole entire family is from Central America. So what does it mean to be a first generation person and not feel attached to the country I was born in? So I was wrestling all these other things before I really understood or was trying to conceptualize the future. I was still stuck with the past and the present. And by the time I got into college and I was still figuring it out, okay, what is going to be practical? What's going to make sense? This is me already getting in debt. So how do I make this debt worthwhile? And so constantly, I think my entire life has been reading the room externally, what's going on outside of me, around me, reading the room inside of me, what's going on inside, deeply, intrinsically. And so I think that's the biggest thing that I can say for all of us right now is spending more time with our internal rooms, reading the room internally as much as we can. What are our values? And when I mean values, I mean these intrinsic kind of cornerstones of ourselves. And I learned that about myself through all the job hopping and pivoting, that I'm someone who really needs flexibility, meaning I like to do different things. I like to learn. I like to be creative. I like to use different parts of my brain. And that is more fulfilling to me. That perhaps is the most fulfilling thing versus money. So throwing more money at me is not going to make me produce quality things or more quality things. It's just going to give me more money, which will be nice so that I can hoard and sit on it and have some sort of savings. But it's not filling my bucket, it's not fueling my tank, so to speak. And so I learned that was one of my key values. The other one, similarly, I think, or is like a cousin of flexibility, is freedom. Having the freedom of time, the agency, the autonomy to try new things and be in different spaces and deprioritize certain things, and freedom of my own, being kind of my own boss with certain tasks or in certain teams or whatever. So freedom and flexibility for me have been, I think, the hallmark cards, the North Compass, or the North Star, which was why I was able to do what I did, pivot and job hop. And I went from being a technical writer to being an office manager at a financial investment firm, to being a kindergarten teacher, a STEM, science, technology, engineering, math kindergarten teacher, to then working front desk at a yoga studio, dog walker, working at a store as a cashier, working as a yoga studio manager, front desk for physical therapy clinic, then freelancing as a graphic design, copywriting, becoming a comms specialist, contractor, consultant, because I realized that freedom and flexibility is what is gonna help me make money. It's what's going to propel me to stay true to myself, but then also be able to work the system in a way that makes sense, that feels good, that's sustainable. And so that's why now, as I said before, I'm taking a big step back from this business part of trying to help people repurpose the ladder, because I think the ladder has been broken for decades. And as I said, I think now we're just experiencing the whiplash, the side effects of all of that. And I also truly feel that there's a lot of saturation in the market right now, online spaces, around somatic and embodiment work and emotional, mental therapy, spiritual therapy, life coaching, which is beautiful, which is very beautiful and very much needed. And so I don't feel myself, I don't feel like that's something that I want to add to. I feel like there's enough, and I don't have the mental, emotional, physical, financial capacity to insert myself or add in a way that I really would like to add meaning. And so I'm still doing this podcast. I still want to make designs that are beautiful and supportive and infused with mindfulness and intention. I'm still in business, just not in the way that I presented before, or not in the way that I would call it, not in job, work, business, coaching stuff. I'm a firm believer in income sovereignty, and ultimately, as I said, deprioritizing money. But I am taking a pause from all of that to just focus on creating, playing, experimenting. And I will give updates as soon as I finish some things. There's a launch. I am going to be launching a different branch of my business, because as I said, I'm still in business. It's not going to look this way, or I'm not going to be focusing as much on this part. So stay tuned. I still am committed to doing the A Day in the Life series, and I still will be writing essays. Like, that's not going away. It's just the financial structure of what services or what products can I create to support income sovereignty. That's all of that has kind of been, I've put a pin in that for the moment. So you will still see me on the series, and you will still get weekly essays from me. And if you would like to support me, my work, this podcast, this Substack, I do have a paid tier that I would be really grateful if you choose to support. So there is that. And the 90-minute session, as I said, to get my brain and my experience and my creativity in your world on the problem that you're trying to solve, trying to figure out. One last thing, because I've been talking about all of that and I didn't follow up that I went to Seattle and, well, I went to the state of Washington and I met Sarah. For those of you who are following our series on the podcast, our series is called The Capacity Conversations, and we talk all about what it looks like, feels like, what it is. We digest together capacity, energetically, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, economically, ecologically, culturally, all these things. Because when we say to ourselves, or when we question, should I do this? How can I do this? How am I supposed to do XYZ? Start a business while also trying to pay the mortgage, while also trying to find a job. All of that we have been deconstructing through those different layers, culturally, economically, politically, etc. For the past almost a year, we've been putting out, I believe it's 1 or twice a month episodes. And so I was so happy to go and travel to see her in Spokane, Washington, which is on one side of the state of Washington. And then I did a solo road trip from Spokane to Seattle, which was a 3-hour drive. And it was beautiful. So you can see our next episode coming up where we are both live in person coming up soon in April. And I think that ultimately, and maybe that's where I'll wrap up this episode, is I think that is ultimately the beauty in the light at the end of this tunnel, or the beauty in this storm, is the relationships, the connections, the community. I definitely think that, we're being pushed, we're being prodded, we're all being reborn in different ways. And I'm very, very, very happy that the connections I've made online, the women, the other entrepreneurs, soulpreneurs, creatives that I've met through this business, through this exploration, because we are all in it together. And we are all learning about ourselves, learning about each other. And it's really beautiful and exciting. And I think we're going to see more of that as capitalism dies, as it falls to pieces. So thank you all for being on this journey with me, for staying tuned. Please let me know if there's anything you would like me to expand on, or that you've heard me mention and you're really curious about. I'd love to hear from you, and please be well. Please give yourself grace. Take care of yourself. Go easy. It is not easy to go easy. But as much as you can, please try. Rest, drink water, get sun, eat some good food, hug yourself, hug your loved ones, cry, yell, because all of that is medicine and all of that is needed, so that whatever is coming for you, meant for you, coming from you, out of you, born from you, can grow intentionally, easy, smoothly. I said smoothie. Wishing you all peace and wellness, and take care. I will talk to you all in the next episode.